What's going on, everybody?
What's up? What's up? What's up?
It's your boy DJ, chopping up with DJ and Low. We live with my man Roy,
Yes, sir.
How's it going?
and we've got Roy in. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, Roy.
Oh yeah, my name is Roy Jackson. I'm a computer engineer at Wells Fargo. I build trading software. I'm a real big sports head, basketball fan, football fan, and just, that's pretty much it.
Tell them where you from, Roy. Where you representing?
I'm from Fayetteville, North Carolina, originally. I'm representing East Orange, New Jersey. I also lived there for about 15 years, and now I'm here in Charlotte. Been here for the last 2 years, love it. And yeah, so that's my background.
Cool. So, Mr. Jackson, tell us a little bit how you got into the field that you're in.
Well, out of college, out of high school, I wanted to do something that only took me 4 years to do. Didn't want to go to grad school and stuff like that. So after doing my research, computer programming was something that I like to do. I was good at mathematics, and that's how I got into it. So I got into the finance field, going to a .NET program in New Jersey, and one of the jobs that they had was building trading software for a company called UBS, and that was back in 2006, and I've been doing it ever since.
Cool. That's pretty dope, man. That's a dope story. And the reason I say that is because a lot of our youth nowadays are encouraged not to go to school, not to go to college, because there's careers and things that you can get into, entrepreneurship, and a lot of different avenues that you can take to be successful without going to college. But there's still a lot of reasons to go to college. I think that young black men should still be encouraged to go to college, because there's still a lot of career fields out here that you need to go to college to get that degree, get that paperwork in order to get these jobs out here. Tell us a little bit about your college experience, and what would you tell any youth that may be watching about the advantages of going to college, Roy?
Well, there's definitely a lot of advantages to going to college. I definitely wouldn't have been where I was if I didn't get the degree. To get into the program that I went to in Jersey, you had to have the degree. College ain't for everybody, but it's definitely something that you should explore to find out if it's for you or not.
Right.
So I encourage everybody to go. You learn a lot of life experiences. I know when I was in college, just learning how to deal with situations where people wasn't helping you out. You had the professors in college a lot different from your teachers in high school. You either get it or you don't. You got to work hard. It builds work ethic. It builds your social skills up. So there's definitely a lot of advantages to going to college. I definitely would recommend it to, especially the black men who are one of the least educated dynamic groups in the country, to go get your degree, because it can only help, it can't hurt. So.
Right. Well said. So, what you want to start off with, man?
Man, I just with piggybacking on what Roy was talking about college, and then we'll leave that there. I just want to encourage people to go to college, and if you do go to college, my thought on that would be to go for something specific. Know what you're going for. A lot of us go to school and say, well, I'm gonna go to school and then I'm gonna figure it out later, and then a year later they drop out because they don't know specifically what they want to go for or major in. So if you're in high school now, kind of start thinking about different things that you can do, different majors that you can have, and go for it, man. Like Roy said, colleges, having that paper is definitely a big advantage out here in the work field. Even if you are going to be an entrepreneur, there's a lot of things that you can learn in college that will prepare you for business. So young men and women out here, go get that degree.
There it is.
So let's get into this week. There's a lot going on. Although basketball season is over, still stuff going on. You got trade rumors, you got free agency, you had the NBA awards last night.
Which I thought was pretty weak.
It's pretty weak.
Yeah.
Why you say that?
The season been over almost 3 weeks, and we just found out who the MVP was.
Yeah.
It's kind of
We've
weak.
been new.
I mean, yeah, we've been new, but they should just get it back to the old ways. Right before the playoffs start,
Right.
you
Yeah,
give
I
out the
agree.
award.
What was the purpose of that? Why did they go to?
I don't know. They did it last year too. I don't know. I really don't like it. It's just it's I guess to give them more money, because when people, I mean, yeah, people gonna watch it because it's NBA. You trying to see who win what, but
Right.
more views and more money. I just think it's ridiculous.
So James Harden won MVP, which, like Roy said, everybody kind of knew he was going to win the MVP. But I think it's kind of the playoffs kind of started swaying people's opinion, because we're kind of creatures of what's going on right now, what we see right now. And a lot of people say LeBron should have been the MVP because of how he performed in the playoffs. But
It's a regular season award.
Yeah.
it's a regular season award, and to your point, that's what I'm saying. It should have been. We should go back to, or the NBA should go back to giving out the award before the playoffs even start, so it won't even be any question of the playoff performance.
And I got a problem with when people say, "Oh, LeBron should win the MVP every year." He really shouldn't.
Well, people don't say that he should win it.
Well, they say he can win it every year.
They
I
say
don't think.
they say
I don't
that
think he
they,
can.
they say that he could win the MVP every year.
I don't think LeBron James could win the MVP every year, because if that was the case, they would give it to him. There's people that ball harder than LeBron James when they win the MVP. Derrick Rose did it the year that he broke his streak up.
All right.
Steph Curry's done it. Dirk has done it.
Okay.
Who else has done it? KD has done it. And now James Harden has done it. Those 5 people have balled harder than LeBron the season that he didn't win MVP.
But is the MVP award for balling hard?
I mean, I think it's for the best player of that season. I don't necessarily think the MVP coincides with who's the best player in the league. I mean, sometimes you can be the best player in the league, but if you have a bad season, I mean, this season I felt like I agree with DJ. I don't think LeBron should have even been in the category. I think his team underachieved in a weak Eastern Conference, and I feel like a lot of the issues that the Cavaliers had was brought on by LeBron James, i.e. running away Kyrie Irving.
Right.
Like Kyrie specifically said he didn't want to play with LeBron. That's on LeBron. So he, it's kind of like we giving him credit for putting out a fire that he started.
Right.
In my opinion. So
And
I feel
then-
like,
Go ahead, my fault.
no, I just feel like that he should have. I mean, he had a good year. If you count the playoffs, if it was a playoff, regular season and playoff award, I think you could have put his name in there. But if it's just a regular season award, I think it was clearly between James Harden and pretty much nobody else.
Right.
So, wait a minute. You said the Cavs underachieved?
I think they did.
They
I think
definitely
they
did.
underachieved.
They definitely did. With the squad that they had in the beginning of the season, they were what, 5 or 6 games over 500?
Yeah, okay.
They should.
Oh, so you're saying they're underachieved in a regular season?
Yeah, most definitely.
In the regular
Oh,
season.
Yeah.
I feel like
I mean, they didn't win a championship,
Yeah.
so every other team in the NBA besides the Golden State Warriors underachieved. I don't care how you look at it. If you
But I
didn't
mean,
win
What?
If you look at the Cavs, what they did through the regular season, right? They started off iffy, and then they went on that streak where they won like 18 straight in a row.
Okay.
And they went from being 4th in the East to 1st to 2nd in the East.
Okay.
And the East, really, nobody expected Boston to be what they were when Gordon Hayward went down.
Right.
Toronto had a good year, but we kind of knew what they were. For the Cavs to end up with the 4th seed in the East, to me, I feel like even though the East is coming up, I still think it was weak this year. And when you got a guy like LeBron, as good as he is, because I think clearly he was better than anybody else, than any best player on any other team. I think they underachieved overall, and I think part of one of the main reasons they underachieved was because of him and the fact that when J.R. Smith came in and Dwayne Wade was brought in, the relationship between LeBron and Dwayne Wade kind of alienated J.R. Smith, made him not want to play hard. So I feel like, I mean, it is a weak move, but I feel like that's all when you take the leadership responsibility and you constantly say, these are my guys, this is my team.
Right.
You got to take responsibility when stuff go bad. Because if they would have won, 65 games, that would have been a notch under LeBron's belt.
Now I got a question. As far as the MVP goes, is it the most viable player to your team, or is it to the league? Because I feel like, for me, I feel like it's the most viable to your team.
Right.
So, say if James Harden was to get hurt next, or matter of fact, perfect example, Stephen Curry. When Steph Curry missed that last stretch of the season, you could see a whole different team in Golden State. And that, to me, is what an MVP is. If that player isn't there, how does that team look? And that's what an MVP is
Well,
to me.
I mean, if you're going by that definition, then you can put LeBron in the category.
You can put him in a category every year, but him winning it, I don't think he.
Yeah, I don't know about winning,
Yeah.
but I mean, if you look at the Rockets, they lost James Harden for a little while this
Right.
year, and they still stayed. I mean, Chris Paul kept them afloat. The Warriors lost Steph Curry, they lost Kevin Durant, and they stayed afloat. I mean, but if the Cavs lose LeBron,
They don't even make it to the playoffs.
Yes.
Wait, now, hold on. Like going back to your whole thing with the fire that he started with
Right.
Kyrie. The squad that they had last year, everybody on that squad except for LeBron, they still make the playoffs, and I believe they still go to the Eastern Conference Finals with Kyrie, Kevin Love, the whole squad they had. I still believe that team goes to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Kyrie, the Boston Celtics proved that Kyrie is not needed on the team because Kyrie went down and them boys almost made it to the finals. They took the Cavs.
They played a terrible Cleveland team.
Wait a minute. So what are we saying? I mean, because Cleveland made it to the finals.
Okay.
And so the team outside of LeBron was not that great, but they went to the finals. DJ, you can't call a team that goes to the finals terrible.
Has Mike ever been lower than a 2 seed?
I don't care about the seeding.
I mean, that's kind of major.
Not for the Cavs, it's not, because no matter what seed they are, they go to the finals every year.
yeah, that's true. But I think when you look at it with the way that the Cavs, I don't know if the Boston Celtics, I don't know if the Cleveland Cavaliers without LeBron and Kyrie could have even beaten this Boston Celtic team, because this Boston Celtic team should have beaten the Cavaliers.
Right.
But I really feel like the Cavaliers, with Kyrie Irving, they wouldn't have beat the Golden State Warriors, but it wouldn't even have been
Wouldn't
close
have been a sweep.
in the East. Like they would have ran through the East again, like
Right.
they did last year, if they would have had Kyrie. And I felt like LeBron was. I mean, when he comes out and he specifically says, "I don't want to play with LeBron James," I mean, I don't know who else you can put that on.
So my fault. Go ahead, Lou.
And you said something else that LeBron said to the media that I wasn't aware of. Is that a fact, or is that something that you heard? When you said that they asked LeBron what he thought the team needed to be better, he said that they needed an all-star point guard.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said.
Is that a fact?
Yeah.
So LeBron said that to the media. Did you know about this?
No, I didn't hear.
Yeah,
about that.
LeBron told them that they needed a all-star point guard, somebody who can control the game and take control of it and do what and help him score. That's exactly what he said. He said, but his exact words were all-star point guard.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into some more of the NBA awards winners and see if we agree or disagree or whatever. Ben Simmons,
the
Rookie of the Year.
disconnection, y'all. Something happened on my phone. Go ahead.
Rookie of the Year.
Oh, he definitely deserved it.
Ben Simmons, hands down.
Yeah, I think he deserved it.
And I don't like how everybody be like, oh, he's not a rookie. Man, he's a rookie. He didn't play last year. He's definitely a rookie.
Well,
I mean, you have precedence for that.
Yeah.
Blake Griffin,
Right.
And he wasn't a rookie.
Blake
He got
did it.
hurt.
Joel definitely
Uh-huh.
could have did it if he played
Yeah.
more games that season.
Right. He was in the running, but he only played 31 games. So,
Yeah.
I think mainly Donovan Mitchell, I feel like had the more flashy moments in the season.
Mhm.
But I feel like Ben Simmons was better from start to finish.
If you started a team, who would you take?
Oh, Ben Simmons.
Okay.
Hands down.
What about you?
Ben Simmons.
Okay. And you know what? Let me say this. I've never said this on the podcast before, but I will say Ben Simmons. I think he's gonna be top 3 all time when he's said and done.
Be very careful with that. What evidence is showing you that he's gonna be top 5? You said top 3?
Top three when
It's a hot
it's all
take.
said and done.
It's a hot take.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, top 3 of all time, or
Yes.
top 3 of? Wait a minute.
So you mean Jordan, LeBron, Ben Simmons?
Yes.
What?
Yes. Yes.
So, nah, man.
I
No.
mean, I don't know. That's a high projection. I mean, because there's a lot of
No.
ifs, right? There's a lot of ifs that has to happen for Ben. I think if Ben Simmons had a jump shot, any type of jump shot, that could be possible. But I mean, that's a big if. I mean, we said the same thing about LeBron. You know, I feel like if LeBron was a better shooter and a more like knockdown shooter, I don't think there would be a discussion. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Like that's a hot take. Ben Simmons. He's definitely gonna be or has a chance to be an all-time great, top 3. I don't know. I don't see that. But
Well, the problem I have with that is that there's already a huge debate about who the top 3 is now.
right.
So now you're pushing. Who are you pushing out? Because you're talking about like the old heads, bring up the old school players, and then Jordan, Kobe, LeBron. Jordan's not getting knocked off.
Now, hold on. Well, real quick, for the people that's just joining in, my phone keep doing something weird. But what I just said to these two, I said by the time Ben Simmons is done playing basketball, by the time he's done retired, by the time he's done, I think he will be top 3 all time. Ben Simmons will be top 3 all time in the NBA, behind Mike, whoever you got number 2. He might even be number 2, and then LeBron, Kobe, whoever you want to put at that 3 or 2 spot. I think Ben Simmons is that good of a player to be top 3 all time. Now go ahead, Lo.
He's not knocking off Jordan. He's not knocking off Kobe.
We don't know that. That's the thing. It's all
Well, the question now is Kobe top 3?
right. Is Kobe top 3?
And that's my problem.
Right.
Is that there's a debate with the top 3 now. Who is he knocking off?
My thing is this: LeBron James is considered to be top 3, right?
I think
Maybe greatest. Some people say he's the greatest of all time, which is kind of ridiculous.
that is ridiculous.
But LeBron James, without a doubt, is top 2 in the NBA. So if LeBron James is top 2 in the NBA, Ben Simmons is exactly what LeBron James was his rookie season, but a better passer and a better rebounder. He's not as good of a scorer as LeBron was.
A better passer?
Yes, he's not as good.
I agree with that.
He's not as good of a scorer as LeBron was when he first got into the league, but he's gonna grow. Everybody's gonna grow. LeBron, and when he first came into the league, averaged 20 points a game, like 5 and 5. Ben averaged 16, 17, 7 and 8. That's almost a triple double as a rookie.
See, what makes the greats great, it's not the first couple years that they have.
Right.
It depends a lot on their work ethic
Mhm.
and their want to be great.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Because Ben Simmons he could just be a great player and just be stagnant. You know what I'm saying? Like Melo. Melo is great,
Right.
but he doesn't have work ethic.
Right.
He doesn't have the will to win. He doesn't have the will to get better. You know what I'm saying? But when he first came into the league, he won Rookie of the Year, right?
Right.
I mean, so you can.
LeBron won rookie.
Yeah, LeBron won rookie of the year.
Okay, but it was. Some
I mean, he
people
was in
said.
there.
Some
Yeah,
people
he
said
was
that he
there.
should have won.
Right.
'Cause he
Um,
took his team to the playoffs.
Right, because he took his team to the playoffs. So a lot of cats back then could have looked at Melo and be like, "Man, Melo's gonna be one of the
Right.
greatest players ever."
Right. Now, that's the thing with Melo and Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons, Carmelo started chasing that money. He became
Right.
one of those guys that, you know what, I'm going to be for me, I'm going to do this, and I don't care nothing about winning. Carmelo just opted into a deal to stay with OKC for $28 million. That shows he cares nothing about winning.
He does. Oh, he doesn't. Yeah,
He wants
and-
the money first. for
Right,
sure.
and I don't think that Ben Simmons is that type of player. I follow Ben Simmons on social media. Not saying I know the guy, but I see, he's working out in the gym every day, doing all this stuff. So he's getting better. He's working out,
Right.
but but what I'm saying is you can't really say that he's gonna be a Melo, and I can't say he's gonna be LeBron. But from what I've seen, yeah, he can't shoot, he can't hit a free throw, he's a point guard really that can't hit a free throw, but he's a 6'10" point guard, so he's kind of like a power forward if you really look at it like that. LeBron couldn't hit free throws when he first came into the
Right.
league.
Yo, isn't that crazy that cats follow people on Instagram and they think that's their boy?
But nah, for real, I really believe Ben Simmons is that good. I really do. I believe.
Well, I guess that's a wait and see type of thing. That is a heavy claim.
And I
Sure.
believe Ben Simmons, when it comes down to it, if they had to pick between Ben and Joel, they would get rid of Joel as soon as possible before they ever got rid of Ben. Ben is a player that you build a franchise around.
I agree.
You get somebody like Ben, you're getting the next LeBron, you're getting the next Magic. You're getting a franchise type of player.
Right.
He may not average the 25, 26 a game,
Right.
but neither did Magic.
Right.
And
That's
he's
right.
still considered top 10, top 5.
Right.
I just feel like Ben Simmons is that good.
So speaking of the money situation you were talking about with Melo, Roy was telling me about something with Chris Paul and the Rockets. What were you saying about that?
Well, yeah, there's reports coming out of Houston that there's some friction between Chris Paul and the Houston Rockets front office for contract negotiations, because apparently there was a backdoor deal that Chris Paul would get the max in
Right.
Houston, and now they're trying to back off of that a little bit, given his injury history
Right.
and the fact that he was injured a lot this year and injured when they needed him most.
Right.
So I haven't really heard any new updates, but I heard that yesterday that Chris Paul that they're having some tensions that may cause LeBron to kind of stay away from that situation as a free agent
Right.
destination. So
And if I'm the Rockets, I wouldn't give Chris Paul the max either. At all. Chris Paul is what, 33?
yeah,
I'm not giving that man the max.
So is it because he's not a max player, or is it because of his injury history?
I don't think he's a max player anyway.
I think he's a max player for Houston.
Yeah, for Houston.
Houston,
Well, I don't
yeah.
know. I don't like Houston. I hate the way they play back. They're so boring to me.
Well, you can't determine whether or not he deserves
Well-
max because of you don't like the team.
Well, but at the end of the day, I really feel like Houston is one of those squads that I think any point guard would be great in Houston.
Well, I mean, the thing about it is, when the season first started, nobody thought Houston was going to be good. I know I didn't. I looked at it and I was like, James Harden, Chris Paul, they both need the ball. I don't know how that's going to work. We never seen Chris Paul play off the ball. He's played on the ball his whole career, and he proved. I mean, D'Antoni and them, they came up with a great system, and Chris Paul was really I feel like the catalyst of that team.
Right.
James Harden, because Chris Paul is a better point guard than James Harden.
Okay.
And so when you look at it, when you come down to the ISO, Chris Paul can ISO, but he's a better passer. He knows how to get people involved. He knows how to put people in their spots. And part of the reason why the Houston Rockets was able to stay afloat this year was because when Harden went down, or when Harden would have those bad games like he had in Game 7 and in Game 6, Chris Paul would be there to save him. And Chris Paul shot the ball better than I've ever seen him shoot this year.
And that's true. I think Chris Paul.
So
I think even if he was there for Game 7, they still would have lost.
I mean, yeah, I feel like Golden State would have probably pulled it out even too, but I also feel like it would have been much closer. Like it would have been much harder for them to do so, because I don't think the Rockets go 1 for 30
Right.
shooting threes if
And
Chris Paul is on the floor.
And I don't think they would have shot that many threes if
Yeah.
Chris Paul was on the floor. The game would have been completely different if Chris Paul was there.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely agree. But like I was saying about the point guard, and it's not even about Houston. I think it's Mike D'Antoni's system.
Right.
Mike D'Antoni has had Steve Nash. He's had, and this might sound a little crazy, but he's had Jeremy Lin, and he's had Chris Paul now, or James Harden and Chris Paul now.
Jeremy Lin is trash.
Wait a minute. Jeremy Lin, when he was with the Knicks, when Mike D'Antoni was there, and in LA he had Kobe and Steve Nash as well. But when Mike
That was
D'Antoni,
Steve Nash in LA though.
wait, but listen, Jeremy Lin, when he was with Mike D'Antoni, that's when Linsanity started. If y'all remember, that's when Linsanity started. And at that
When
point,
he was where?
In New York.
Yeah. New York, yeah.
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 Right now, yeah.
Yeah,
Right
so
there, yeah.
so any point guard can do great in Mike D'Antoni's system. It's like a quarterback in football. If you have a great system that protects the quarterback, he's gonna be good. But once he goes to another team, he's trash. Jeremy Lin, if he would have stayed in New York, he could have been a great player. Besides, with Mike D'Antoni as his coach, because that system fits a point guard. That's why James Harden does what he does, because he's out there playing one-on-one ball, but with 4 other people on the side. so he can drive easily, and if he got to, he can kick it out to
Yeah,
some shooters.
but the difference to me is that it's kind of like which one of them don't belong, right? So
Mhm.
Chris Paul, James Harden, Steve Nash, Jeremy Lin. It's like, okay, which one of these guys don't belong in that conversation? Jeremy Lin, Jeremy Lin had a flash in the pan, but the difference is James Harden was great before D'Antoni got to Houston. He was in the MVP
right.
conversation. Chris Paul was a Hall of Famer before he got to Houston.
That's right.
Steve Nash was a great player in Dallas before he even got traded to Phoenix.
That's right.
And started playing with
That's a great point.
D'Antoni. So the fact that Jeremy Lin could give you a stretch here, 2 week stretch there, 3 week stretch there, where he plays good basketball, and he's played good basketball in New Jersey and other places that he's gone. But when you really look at the superstar players, that's why D'Antoni is able to get there. I think the issue with D'Antoni's system is that he only focuses on one side of the ball.
Mhm.
So he doesn't really. This year, when you saw what happens when they actually put defense next to a team that can play offense the way that D'Antoni plays, he's an offensive mastermind.
Right.
But you had defensive guys like P.J. Tucker and
Mhm.
Bob Moute, Chris Paul, Trevor Ariza, Clint Capella. So they were really just, they ran through the league, and they gave Golden State all they could handle. They took them to 7 games. So D'Antoni's system, definitely, I feel like there's some flaws there. But I don't feel like any point guard can just come in and duplicate what Chris Paul and James Harden has been able to duplicate, or Steve Nash for that matter. Because, Steve Nash's passing ability is second to only Jason Kidd and Magic Johnson. He's an elite passer. Chris Paul's an elite passer. James Harden is a pretty good passer, but he's an elite scorer. So you got to have an elite guy to duplicate. I don't think Jeremy Lin's going to win 65 games in the Western Conference and take the Warriors to 7 games, even in D'Antoni's system.
Jeremy Lin he's like the type of cat that nobody expects much from him.
Right.
So don't worry about him. And then he just caught fire, you know what I'm saying? And
Right,
by
but-
the time cats got hip to say, okay, this guy's decent, let me start putting some pressure on him, then he kind of fell off the map.
Nah, he got hurt. And that's the only reason why he fell off. He got hurt, and he started, it was already close to the end of the season. They went on a 12-13 game win streak with Jeremy Lin as a starting point guard. And then he got hurt, and Carmelo came back, and then it was just all right, I'm back. Let's do what I want to do now.
So are you saying Jeremy Lin is good? Or are you saying that he was only good with D'Antoni?
I'm saying D'Antoni puts point guards in positions to shine, whether you're a superstar or not. Because, all right, Brandon Jennings. I feel like if Brandon Jennings played with Mike D'Antoni, he would be a great point guard. He would average at least 25 to 27 a game with a good 9 assists because of D'Antoni's system.
Because of the system. I don't know about that.
I think D'Antoni's system can inflate your numbers. I feel like that. I don't know if they would inflate them that much, but I do feel like D'Antoni's system will give you score more points. You're going to. If you used to taking 10 shots a game, now you're taking 25 because he don't care, and you're free to shoot. Okay, you're gonna average more points, but I feel like when the rubber hits the road, you need elite, skilled players in this league to win.
Mhm.
The system ain't gonna do it. You proved that in New York when Phil Jackson tried to bring the triangle. It's like this elite system that won 11 rings or won 9 rings, 10 rings, whatever. It's like you won 11 rings with elite players.
Right.
You take the players away from that system, it's nothing.
Right.
So I'm like, James, D'Antoni's system is a good system, but it's really a kind of like a street ball isolation. Let me find the weakest link, get him on my best offensive player, go one-on-one, and let's see if we can get a bucket, a layup, or get an open 3. And that still doesn't work. And that's the reason why I feel like Golden State, I felt like and nobody talks about this, but I felt like had Iguodala not got hurt in Game 4,
Mm-hmm.
Golden State wins that series in 5 games. Because Golden
Against the
State
Rockets?
against the Rockets.
Uh-huh.
I think they talk about the Chris Paul injury that happened in Game 5 when he got hurt at the end of that game. But I feel like if Iguodala doesn't get hurt the game before, the Warriors really pretty much felt like they figured them out.
Mm-hmm.
Because one thing the Warriors do is that they don't just shoot threes.
Mm-hmm.
They shoot threes, they get layups, they shoot mid-range, they just score.
Mhm.
They use ball movement, they use isolation when they need to with KD, but they have so many different options. When it came down to it, the Rockets only had one option, and that was James Harden, Chris Paul, and ISO. And once you figure that out, It's nothing else they could do.
Right. I feel it. I respect that.
So we'll leave that there, but since we're talking about coaches, let's talk about Mr. Dwayne Casey winning Coach of the Year, but he got fired on his day off.
You got fired on your day off?
Man, where did they do that at, man? How did this happen?
I don't
What-
understand how you. That's like winning the award. That's like if I'm a bank teller or something, and I win an award for bank teller of the year.
Right.
You are the best bank teller.
Right.
But then the next day I get fired. Why am I getting fired?
Right.
Because I couldn't outsell. I'm a bank teller at daggone Fifth Third.
Right.
But I couldn't outsell Bank of America.
Right.
Like, because that's the reason why he got fired, because he couldn't beat LeBron.
Because he couldn't be LeBron.
But I think it's equivalent to like using your analogy. You're the best bank teller. You get the bank teller of the year, and then you turn around and do a bank error that loses the bank $100,000. And now it's like, okay, you know, you're the best teller, but you gotta go. You know what I'm saying? We can't deal with that mistake. And I think the reason behind why Toronto did that is because all year what we hear about, DeRozan's a shooter now. Toronto's different now. They're a deeper team. You know, they had a bench that played well. And then you come into the playoffs, you see the first round, and you see the Indiana Pacers led by Victor Oladipo takes the Cleveland Cavaliers to 7 games, with the Cavs having home court advantage. And then you come in to your series and you lose 4 straight games in a row, including one game where you're up 20 points. You lose. And then you turn around, I mean, you can't even get a game. DeRozan is out of it. You're not playing DeRozan in the fourth quarter when you make a comeback. I mean, it's just embarrassing. And then you turn around the next series, and the Boston Celtics, without their 2 best players, takes the Cavs to 7 games. That same team that looked like world beaters against you guys.
Right.
So I understand it's like in the league you got to realize coaches go before players. So something had to change, and they're not going to get rid of DeRozan, they're not going to get rid of Lowry. So they had to do something, and they let go of Casey. But it's just one of those odd circumstances where, and another reason I feel like, to your point at the beginning, of they should do, if they're going to do the award show, let's do it at the end of the regular season.
Right.
Because then he
Right.
would have got the award, he would have still been the coach, he would have went into the playoffs, and then it would have been like, okay, we understand why he got fired, but
Right.
it's crazy that you up there accepting an award for Coach of the Year for a team that done fired.
Right, yeah.
Right, that's what he said. He said,
Yeah.
I've got Coach of the Year,
You're
but
right.
I got fired.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. He definitely took
Like-
shots at that Toronto.
Like that doesn't make sense. I don't know. I
Right.
guess that's that's the way it was handled. But I just feel like that whole award show, man, it has to be done with or move earlier, like the day after the regular season ended, because, like you said, it's just ridiculous that he got fired after. I mean, he got fired before winning Coach of the Year. That's just crazy.
Yeah. He did. Who picked him up?
Detroit.
Detroit.
He's now the Pistons head coach, in which I think the Pistons next year are going to be ridiculously good. I think they'll be top 3 or 4 in the East next year. Let me tell you why. Andre Drummond, Blake Griffin, and Reggie Jackson, and then they got money.
Top 3. Well, that's not saying much in the East.
Nah, the East is coming up. The East is coming up.
Well,
Well, top
you
3,
got Boston. You got
Philly.
You got Boston. You got Philly. You got Cleveland.
Cleveland's not going to be there.
Well, it depends on what LeBron does, but
It depends on what LeBron does.
what about the
because-
Wizards? You know, Washington. You don't think they're gonna be
I think Washington's done. I think Miami's going to make a trade for one of those boys between Wall and
Milwaukee may make some strides. You
Look,
got-
Let's talk about Cleveland real quick before we move on, because I want to move away from sports. But let's talk about Cleveland seriously, and that the draft, the old boy that picked up in the draft from
Colin Sexton.
from
He
Alabama.
is a baller.
Oh, I thought that B word came out. I thought you was about to say baller.
Nah, he's
I'm glad you said baller, because that dude is a baller, and I think that he might be Cleveland's new Kyrie.
Stop.
He might be Cleveland's new Kyrie.
Stop.
So he's not that much of a baller?
He's not that much of a baller.
That's yet to be seen.
he could
Colin
probably-
Sexton is definitely one of those guys that you look at him and like you watch his game, he has that drive, he
Yup.
has that hunger to win, he has all of that.
Yeah, he got
But-
that dog. I just
Yeah,
don't know if
he
he
definitely got that dog.
I just don't know if he got that Kyrie skill set. Like that's
Right.
the only issue.
You know where I think he's going to be better than Kyrie? on the other end of the court.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, defensively, yeah, most definitely.
And that's what the Cavs need. They need somebody that is a defender and can play on both ends. So if I'll take a great two-way player
Right.
over a superstar offensive player any day. I will. If I have another superstar, all-star player on the team already. So what I'm saying is to combine somebody with LeBron, I'd rather have a great two-way player with LeBron than a great offensive player with LeBron.
Especially at this age in his career. I
But
feel
you
like.
had that.
Yeah.
You had that.
What-
Rodney Hood is a great two-way player. Dwayne Wade, I'm not gonna say great anymore, but he's still a good two-way player. Jay Crowder is a good two-way player. Those guys didn't work. LeBron needs another superstar. He needs another superstar, and that's just
I
facts.
don't know. I wouldn't categorize any of those guys as great two-way players. Now.
Rodney
I think
Hood-
Dwayne Wade was a great two-way player.
Rodney Hood he slept on, man. Rodney Hood's gonna get paid this summer, and watch what he do. Next season with the team he's gonna be with, Rodney Hood's gonna ball. I promise you.
Well, you can't use him because he really didn't get into the rotation the way he was supposed to.
Because he didn't
So,
play garbage minutes.
so you can't say that LeBron had a great two-way player in him because he really didn't play that much. So I mean, that's that's tough to
Yeah,
say.
I don't even know how great of a two-way player Rodney Hood really is.
I
I
don't
mean, he
either.
can play defense, but he's nowhere near like what I would consider what a great two-way player is. Like to me, a great two-way player is somebody like Klay Thompson.
That's a superstar.
I don't know if he's a superstar.
Clay
but
is definitely
he's
a
great
superstar.
I don't know if
two-way-
he's a superstar.
Yeah, I don't think he's a
Clay is
superstar.
definitely a
But
superstar.
he's a great two-way player. He's a guy who can defend his position.
Yeah.
He can defend multiple positions, and
Yeah.
he's not an
That's
offensive
a great
liability.
example.
So I think because you got guys like what's the guy from Oklahoma City that got hurt this year that really kind of
Roberson.
Andre Roberson.
Yeah.
So you got Roberson, who's a great defender,
Mm-hmm.
but he's kind of like he's just nothing on offense. That's all he gives is defense. He shoots like 30% from the free throw line, so he's not that great. Then you got guys like Trevor Ariza, who's a 3-and-D guy. You know, he can hit a three, but he's not going to give you anything. Like Klay Thompson is a guy I can give the ball to. I can put him in the game in stretches and let him carry my team
Right.
offensively. And then defensively, he's always going to be my anchor on the perimeter especially along with those guys they got now. But when you think about it, he's always on the number one offensive guard that they have, unless, KD decides he wants to go and take him for a little while. So I think I wouldn't classify Rodney Hood as a great 3-and-D player. I mean, two-way player. I think he's a decent, he can do both ends of the floor.
Right.
But, I think LeBron could have used, I think there's a lot of people that LeBron probably would have picked over Rodney Hood if he had a chance. But going back to your draft question, do you think Colin Sexton is enough to sway LeBron to maybe stay
Mhm.
if all the other options don't work out?
Oh, you're asking me?
Yeah.
I think, LeBron he's a tough nut to crack, man. It's
Yeah.
hard to figure out what this
Right.
dude's be thinking. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't know whether he's looking to go to a team just to win a championship.
Right.
You don't know if he wants to go to a team that is a feel-good team for him.
Right.
You don't know whether he's going after the money. You don't know whether he's going after
For family reasons.
for family
Yeah.
reasons. You don't know whether he wants to be in the city for a specific reason. I will have to say that I don't think that matters for him right
Right.
now. I don't think that the decision is being based on who he's playing with
Mhm.
when it comes to whether or not he's going to stay in Cleveland.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I think him going to LA, which I think is between Cleveland and LA,
Right.
I think him going to LA is gonna be determined by that. Like if LA can get Paul George,
Right.
if LA can get Kawhi Leonard, then you know what I'm saying. LeBron might say, okay,
Right.
these were my two options. LA got them two cats.
Yeah.
Let's do it. You know what I'm saying? Because I think he wants to beat Golden State that bad that if LA could power up, I think he would go.
I think he's in Miami.
Well, I
And
mean
I'm-
that's more of a hope than
No, it's not a hope.
That's
I
more
don't.
of a- that's more
I
of a
really
wish.
listen. You know how much I hate LeBron. You know how much I hate LeBron. I would not want this man to come back to Miami.
Well, you love your team winning more than you hate LeBron.
That's
I
true.
think.
That's true. But I would not want LeBron to come back and then to do exactly what he's gonna do next season. If he comes back, LeBron isn't signing no long-term contracts.
Not at this point.
So he's probably gonna do what Jordan did, sign 1-year deals from here on out or 2-year deals with a player option.
Right.
So if LeBron goes to Miami, which he's in Miami right now, matter of fact, that's where he's living at right now.
Who cares? That means absolutely
Yeah.
nothing.
He told, or somebody from his camp
He's a
told,
media whore.
listen, somebody from
Yeah.
his camp told ESPN that he's not taking no meetings this season,
Right.
or this offseason.
Yeah.
He already knows where he's going. I really believe that he's going back to Miami. I really believe Miami has everything that he wants. They have the bread, they have the already the supporting cast, and they just have it already. All we need now is one piece, another superstar to come with LeBron, and we're good.
All right, well, we'll leave that there. I definitely want to revisit that next week,
Okay.
because I think that's some foolishness, but we'll chop it up about that some more next week. I want to get into this Antoine Rose situation before we close out today. For those of you that don't know, some might know, some might not know, but there was another police shooting on a young black male named Antoine Rose Jr. in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Don't know the full, complete story in its entirety because there's a lot of different things going on about whether or not there were guns involved. I don't know, but what I do know is that him and another young guy, him and a friend, were in the back seat of the vehicle. I want to say it was an Uber type of driver or somebody that was driving the vehicle. In Pittsburgh, they have this service that's called a jitney service, and it's kind of the service is just like an Uber service, but it's like in the hood where, you know what I'm saying, a couple older guys run teenagers around Pittsburgh. They have they run it like a real service, and it started before Uber even came into existence. Some say that Uber got the idea from them, but anyway, the Uber driver, the jitney driver is what they call it, had the two guys in the back seat. Apparently, earlier that day, there was a drive-by shooting. The car matched the description of the drive-by shooting that happened earlier that day. The police pulled him over, and immediately when they pulled him over, they snatched the driver out of the car. You know what I'm saying? They went to the driver's side, snatched the drivers out of the car, and the two guys got out of the car and ran. Now, I don't know if they ran out of guilt, because I don't know if they committed the crime.
Right.
I don't know. All I know is that the car fit the description. Whether or not it was the car, I don't know. They got out the car and ran. Immediately, the officer pulled out his gun and shot one of the teenagers, the 17-year-old Antoine Rose, in the back 3 times. Some are saying that there was 2 guns in the car. Some were saying that they did commit the crime earlier. I don't know. But in my opinion, none of that stuff even matters.
Right.
It doesn't even matter whether they had guns in the car. And again, I don't know if they did or not. But does that matter whether or not they did?
No,
I mean,
it doesn't matter. I think if they had the guns on them drawn, that's what will cause the reaction.
Right.
But if
they were a threat.
Yeah, if they're running away, I don't think anybody, the pistol or gun drawn shooting at somebody as they're running shouldn't be. It's illegal for us to do it.
Right.
Like, it don't matter if they're in your house, if they're running away,
Right.
it's illegal for us to shoot them.
Right.
So it should be illegal for them too.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't think it matters at all whether the guns were in the car or not.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous because I was told by a law enforcement agency, and see, this is not an agency, by somebody in law enforcement, that in the state of Pennsylvania, if somebody commits a crime that, like a murder, if somebody commits a murder, or life-threatening crime,
Mhm.
and the police find them
Mhm.
and they run, if the police know for sure that that person was involved in that crime, they can take the subject out so they can't harm anybody else.
That's weak.
And the reason I'm bringing that up is because when you start hearing stuff like that, that's showing you that they're setting it up. They're setting up the bait
Mhm.
for this guy to get off.
Right.
Well, I already saw that the mayor is gonna go with jury. He's gonna go with a jury trial.
Wow.
So that's good right there, that they're gonna do that. But whether or not that what you just said was true or not, that's because there was no, you can't, like you said, to fit the description.
Right.
But a description of somebody isn't
Right.
proof that they
Right.
did a
So
crime.
they
Right.
would have had to have proof. I think it's real odd how you can have all these situations, and I can point to hundreds and hundreds of situations and videos of people that, and of course these are white people, that when they come in contact with the police for whatever different reason it may be, I mean, they literally assault the police.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen videos
Man.
where, I mean, women will get out of their car drunk and will fight the police officer. Guys that are able, white men are able to get out their car, pull a gun on a cop before he even decides to even go for his gun. He doesn't even have his hand on his gun.
Right.
And so when you see situations like that, it's just weird how an officer, I think of it as like, if I'm an MMA fighter,
Mhm.
I'm a trained MMA fighter, I'm Conor McGregor,
Mhm.
and I'm walking down the street and some random Joe just walks up to me and tell me he's gonna beat me up.
Right.
I don't have any fear
Right.
because I'm a trained fighter.
Mhm.
You're not trained. I have weapons, which are
Right.
my hands. I know how to
Right.
use them, you don't.
Right.
So if you attack me, I know how to disarm you.
Mhm.
Right.
It's not, and the cops are trained. These guys, they're supposed to go through academies.
Right.
And they're supposed to have ways of dealing with suspects.
Right.
I mean, like you said, all that stuff that, all the other semantics that come into play about whether they have the ability to, use deadly force if they absolutely know this guy's committed a crime and he's running. That stuff has really no bearing to me because we see guys who go into movie theaters and set off bombs and shoot
Right.
people,
Right.
and somehow they come out alive
Right.
with bulletproof vests on.
Right.
Mhm.
And yet he's still a black kid in a car, takes off running because he's scared. And I mean, I can't see the officer saying he feared for his life.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
dude just
He's
running away.
from
Right.
it. Right.
Right.
And then, like you said, they're setting it up. They're laying the groundwork
Yeah.
for it to be a release. And this goes
Yeah.
back to the reason why Colin Kaepernick knelt. The reason why the whole thing happened with the NFL is because when you see this type of stuff happens, it's blatant.
Right.
But yet and still, the outcomes are always the same. It's to the point where we've almost been desensitized by it because now
Yeah.
we know the cop's gonna get off.
Yeah.
We kind of have a feeling. We're almost surprised if he don't.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. With that in mind, black men, black teenagers, please, if you get pulled over, put your hands on the steering wheel. It's a couple different things people do. They put their hands in the air, put their hands on the steering wheel. Please don't reach for your phone. Don't reach for your wallet. Don't just
reach. Throw your hands out the window like this and just have them out
Right.
dangling like that.
Right, and if you're outside the vehicle and they tell you to get on the ground, get on the ground.
Right.
Because, and I'm not saying that, we should walk around in fear and, we should comply and we should, you know what I'm saying? It's not, I'm not saying that we should do these things because we're told to, but we should do them so we can go home every evening,
Right.
man.
Right.
This kid had a mom, he had siblings, he had cousins, and that's everybody's story. Let's go home at night, man. Until things change, we just have to
Right.
do something different,
And
man.
to deal with the reality of what it is.
We have
Right.
to deal with the
Yeah.
reality of what it is, and the reality is the police, white police, are shooting black men.
Without hesitation.
And it's ridiculous. So, I don't know what everybody else's mindset is on that, but I want to go home every night to
Yeah.
my spouse. So if I get pulled over, I'm yes sir, no sir,
Right.
hands in the air. Don't make this these situations make you be belligerent towards the police, because that's why people were getting killed.
Right.
Not that
Cursing
that's
at 'em
fair.
and doing all that extra
Right.
stuff, that's unnecessary.
Right.
Just do what they ask you to do. Let them give you your ticket or whatever they gonna
Right.
do, and go
And
on
fight
about
the
your
battle
business.
later. If, you're,
Right.
if you've been,
Right.
if there's been a wrongdoing towards you, fight the battle later. Fight it in court, man,
Right.
or something else, man, so you can go home.
I know when I was in New Jersey, my pastor at the church that I went to, what he did was after the Alton Sterling incident, where the police came, he actually brought the current police there in Morristown, New Jersey. He brought them into our church, and they gave us tips on what to do in a police stop.
Right.
And you know, these officers were black, and they would just tell us, look, you know, when you stop the car, and I did this, I got pulled over here in Charlotte, and I did the same thing, and it, you know, I ended up going home. But when what he told us was, you know, immediately when you get pulled over, pull all your windows down, turn off your radio, take the keys out the ignition, hands on the steering wheel, 10 and 2. When he asks for something, you know, if it's in the glove compartment, if your registration is in the glove compartment, you ask him if you can get it. You tell him if you can get your wallet to show your license. And you know, I got pulled over 2:30 in the morning on Independence Avenue with me and my homeboy, and we was on our way home from getting some food. And I did that. I mean, I put windows down. I just, yes sir, no sir, and the guy, he let me go. He didn't even give me a ticket. But you know, it's just one of those things. Like you said, you want to go home, and that's the thing. We understand, like, you have rights.
Right.
They're being violated. You know, the cops is being unnecessary, but you'd rather be violated and alive than to be right and dead.
Right. The ones that's supposed to protect us are putting the most fear in our hearts, man. That's crazy.
Yeah,
And
that's crazy.
It's ridiculous.
So we're gonna leave it at that, fellas. We'll get back with you next week. Appreciate you tuning in to Chopping It Up with DJ and Low. Appreciate you, special guest Roy Jackson.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll definitely have you back. Again, if you want to be on the show, get in contact with myself or get in contact with DJ. We would like to have a special guest every week to chop it up with us. And that's a wrap.
There it is.
That's what's up. That was on the Instagram?
Mm-hmm.
I gotta get that. I'll put it on my Facebook.
Yeah, they yeah, so we gonna